Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, two cannabis cultivators join us to respond to a proposed change in county regulations that could scuttle an already ailing industry. Also, county officials release a video that highlights a recent rescue of starving cattle, a mission that involved both hay and helicopters. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. For decades, we've struggled on the North Coast to identify the successor industries to buttress and ultimately replace the extractive industries of the past. Timber has waned into a sliver of what it once was. Same with fishing. Both still exist, but time has eaten away at their slices of the economic pie until only rind remains. Meanwhile, for generations, we've taken for granted what has been the backbone of local commerce and wealth generation, that is, weed. But now that the industry has begun to seriously struggle, with farmers forced to produce more for less under the limits of federally imposed market restrictions, officials are suddenly alarmed and have taken steps in recent months to ease that burden. Into this precarious moment has now been injected the Humboldt Cannabis Reform Initiative, HCRI, which, if approved by voters, would effectively prohibit new cannabis growing operations and impose a long list of new and onerous rules that forbid farms larger than 10,000 square feet, limit cultivation permits, and ban mixed light and indoor grows, among other changes. According to 2nd District Supervisor Rex Bone, the changes could be deadly for business.
The industry has a small glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel right now. It just doesn't put a nail in a coffin. It digs the hole, names the cemetery, and puts everybody in it in a mass grave.
At a hearing in front of the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors this week, growers described how HCRI would undermine their already precarious positions.
As a farmer, I have countless concerns with this bill. The first is it wouldn't allow us to expand our solar in any capacity. This means we can't add to our existing system annually as we have the funds to do so. This means we'll never have full sustainability on the farm. It would also not allow us to expand our existing rain catchment systems or add additional rain catchment tanks, allowing us to forbear and not use our existing permanent well during the summer. It would also not allow us to form a co-op and hold a multi-licensed facility like processing and distribution on the same property. This prevents us and other small farms from working together and results in a loss of revenue not only for us farmers, but for the county as well. A new concern of mine after listening to this meeting is that my cultivation license would also be in jeopardy at the time of its renewal, even though we've been going through the permitting process with the county on our pre-existing cultivation since December of 2016.
If this initiative passes, it will destroy my ability to implement my business plan and will wither our farm down to its bones. Over the next 2 years, we plan to build a barn, allowing a new roof line, increase solar collection, develop farm stay and ecological tourism components. If this initiative is passed, this type of development would be considered cultivation expansion, requiring us to reduce our cultivation by 65% to implement, rendering the hundreds of thousands of dollars invested into infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, and other improvements useless and a total loss. If this bad policy is to pass, the proponents' lasting legacy will be the wasted taxpayer dollars spent funding the increased time demand on county staff to over-process cultivation permits as the new system boxes and suffocates the current cannabis farmer into complete extinction.
Supervisor Bone also argued that Humboldt County is actually not besieged by massive farms, contrary to characterizations otherwise. The county has worked to improve the rules over time, he said, but in a way that seeks to protect operators.
We're talking about 4 farms over 100 acres in Lake County. We only have 4 farms over 7 acres. Our biggest controversial farm, one of our biggest ones down there in McCann, was only 5.5 acres. A big farm is any farm that's bigger than the one I have. We do not have big farms. We wrote a very good ordinance. We upgraded it with 2.0. The whole idea of what we're doing is to make this better for everybody. But to make it better isn't to cut somebody off at the knees and say, okay, no more of that, and we never have to worry about it again.
Elizabeth Watson, HCRI organizer, described what she said were the mounting impacts on county residents and suggested the initiative could help smaller grows thrive versus bigger corporate grows.
We need to recognize that other people than the people involved in cannabis live in this community. While gathering 7,000 signatures, we found that citizens felt overlooked. There's the perception that this whole thing is completely out of control. Water is the number one thing, and the change in neighborhoods, heavy truck traffic, now that people are going out of business, you look over the sides of the road, it's full of plastic and garbage. There is a certain urgency that we feel because of the water situation. Rural people take care of their own water, their own sewage, their own fire, and we live without any police protection. And we're wondering why there's this industrial level development going on land that is basically ag and TPZ. And the big ones were getting bigger and the little guys were going broke.
The initiative is slated to go before voters in March of 2024. Joining us in the studio now are two Humboldt County cannabis cultivators, Indy Riggs and Hannah White. They are representatives from the Humboldt County Growers Alliance and people who stand to lose the most under the strain of bad policy. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thanks for having us, James.
Appreciate your time and energy on this. So first of all, I mean, Elizabeth Watson, do you guys have any direct response to what you heard her say here and what you may have heard at the meeting? To give you an opportunity.
Sorry, I'll butt in here first. Yeah, so just to respond directly to what she just said.
Sure.
It's stated in the report produced by the Planning Department that at the peak of pre-legalization, we had over 15,000 independent farms. Mm-hmm. Post-legalization, right now as it stands, we have 1,063.
Wow.
So talk about a drastic reduction in water use, talk about a drastic reduction in folks driving on the roads and all those other concerns and environmental concerns and everything she spoke to. It's, happened. The process has dealt with that. Mm-hmm. So just to speak to that point, there's been already a huge drastic reduction in all of her concerns. Mm-hmm. And it begs the question, was it better maybe for them when it was all out of sight, out of mind? And now that people have come down from the hills and are growing in ag-zoned land where people probably should grow and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely right.
It's become an issue. Yeah. So that's my direct response to the clip you just played.
Hannah, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I do believe that there's a misunderstanding as the way that we've seen cannabis change in our community, and the pressures that we're seeing on cultivators are not just a direct result of our county policies, but also our state policies. Mm-hmm. Proposition 64 was sold to the voters as having a 1 acre cap statewide for 5 years, which was going to give legacy producing regions like the Emerald Triangle, like Humboldt County, an advantage before corporate cannabis came into California's market, and that was taken out. So really the strong pinch and why small cultivators are suffering right now is the fact that there is an overproduction statewide that I don't feel is really something our county is contributing to in the same rate that 60 and 100 acre farms in Lake County, Santa Barbara, Salinas, et cetera.
So some of the reforms that might be necessary to get us out of this hole wouldn't come from the courthouse anyway. They would have to be something that came from the state regulators?
Well, in fact, this is agriculture. Mm-hmm. Even though we're not regulated as agriculture, this is agriculture that we've seen played out over decades in our own country. The consolidation, the corporatization of agriculture, and this is part of the formula of that. Corporate comes in, there's these high regulations, pushes the small folks out, regulations change and become more amenable to corporate interests, and then they're the only players left to make money in the state.
Yeah. Indy, you were here not that long ago.
Correct.
And we were talking about the academy that you'd started that sort of helped cultivators sort of band together and form sort of groups to be more, cohesive, I guess, politically. You had said something earlier about, one of the speakers had said something about how the initiative may make it harder for co-op models to do things in terms of distribution and whatnot. Is that true?
Yeah, that is accurate, and that was a great comment by Daschle. And yes, that is a huge factor in this. It limits licenses, one license per individual or entity. So let's say you wanted to have a cooperative model that sort of implemented some vertical integration. So not just cultivation, but say transportation, distribution, or processing. That would not be viable for some of the folks that are out there starting to looking to start co-ops.
Yeah.
So the momentum we have that's been building towards regional co-ops and small farmers banding together to actually do something that really would help us could be destroyed with this initiative.
And that's something that started to take root. I mean, you mentioned you're giving classes, I guess you'd call them, at the Academy right now. You're involved in one out in Willow Creek, a cooperative sort of model, is that right?
My farm is a member of the Willow Creek Cannabis Alliance, and we are a regional marketing trade organization working to reduce the stigmas against cannabis within our own community, be more approachable, and also work and collaborate together to promote our unique area, which is something that Humboldt County is renowned for, is all these small, diverse microclimates and a diverse and healthy rural community. And that's one of the major impacts economically of this initiative. If it were to pass, it would be so harmful to the rural economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get directly at the question that this initiative seems to pose. It's saying that there are a lot of new impacts or detrimental impacts from these large, massive grows, and it's chewing up the roads because they bring in all these trucks. I mean, they're basically painting a picture of how the industry is operating right now. Is that picture accurate?
No, again, going back to what I had stated earlier, pre-legalization with 15,000 individual farms scattered about throughout the county. I guess I would ask, in that case, have they just gotten bigger and fewer, are there more massive grows and less individual operators? I believe there's only, 4 grows that are over an acre or...
And Rex Bone had referred to that, yeah.
Rex had, I think, quoted or stated something along those lines during the meeting. So it's really, it is completely out of context, that claim, in my opinion.
We've had HCRI on the show before, and they talked about the history of where this came from. And a lot of it seemed to stem from a single, issue they'd had with a neighbor in terms of their neighbor's growing operation. And they thought that their experience was a universal one, and so that's where HCRI sort of came out of. But talking with you just now, the process that they went through achieved changes. Like they were notified and were able to make comment on the grow that was near their house, and you had mentioned that there was actual changes made to the project as a result of the concerns in the hearings. So isn't that an example of the process working?
Right now, the process is, we've heard from cultivators, and the process is long, it's cumbersome, and it's because there are so many environmental and community checkpoints along the way to make sure that these projects fall in line with the new legal framework and the regulated framework that the county has developed to meet and be mindful of, our general plan and the way that we want to see our community developed. And so while we never saw 8-acre farms in the county pre-legalization, we are seeing that now because of the way that the land use ordinance was written. And it's important that businesses, as this is legitimate agricultural business, can scale. It's important to be able to use your private land that's agriculturally zoned for agriculture. And if you have a 320-acre ranch, a 1,000-acre ranch, 7 acres doesn't seem that impactful.
Doesn't take up that much,
No.
absolutely. And I mean, farming, it seems like your plot should be as big as you. I mean, maybe I'm like an old spirit of, free enterprise or whatever, but it seems like you should be able to do. One of the issues that they mentioned a lot of is water. And I know that there have been impacts from grows over the years, like on the Eel River. There's been some, abuse of water systems and whatnot. But do you think, is that issue real? And are communities being impacted by the demand of water from the growing industry?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
There are so many restrictions and monitors on our water use. I actually just finished a water report that I do annually for the water board. We have water meter.
Annually?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just for the water board. We also report for our domestic use to Fish and Game. So we report to our state's agencies that monitor water quality and the impacts on wildlife. And it's really a misnomer that we have been using our share of the water. California and the whole western United States is in a drought and has been in a drought. And we've seen increased cultivation more visibly, while also actually decreasing the cultivation in the county through drought years.
Yeah.
And so the diminished flows in creeks is because California is in a drought, not because the 0.017% of Humboldt County's land is under cannabis cultivation.
Yeah. That's a good point. What do you think have been the, you guys, the county basically did this report to sort of look at the feasibility of what this initiative would do, and sort of it rendered a verdict, I would say, and it was a negative verdict in the staff report. Were you happy with how the supervisors handled that in terms of where their questions led them and how that hearing ended up, or do you feel like they should have been more vociferous? And are you satisfied, I guess, with representation on the Board of Supervisors?
Personally, myself, I was satisfied, and I appreciated our supervisors. They seemed to interpret the report for what it was, a pretty scathing report on the initiative. And I appreciated the fact, too, that several of them pointed out the cost to the public that it would take to implement the overhaul of regulations. And that's something people really need to think about, too. That's not only going to cost cannabis farmers, possibly our livelihoods, it's going to cost the public, the taxpayer,
Yeah, absolutely.
to implement this initiative.
Yeah. That's one of the questions I've long been trying to answer, and it's hard to quantify, but what, you mentioned that we had 15,000 individual grows, I guess, before legalization, and now we're down to over 1,000, right? So a third is gone. How smaller do you think the economic contribution of cannabis is now from when it was then, or has it been steady? I mean, what fallout have we seen economically at this point from the poor market conditions?
I think cultivators, what we saw in the last 5 years in county, have been spending their money differently. It's not that that previously, when there wasn't regulations to pay for and be mindful of within your business, there was excesses and people that were buying bigger trucks and new things, and like commerce was up, the price was up, it was illegal. Now it's legal. Cultivators have been spending their money in different ways. We've been collectively spending hundreds of millions of dollars on environmental compliance to meet the legal framework, and that's how we've been spending our money, is on consultants, culverts, engineering, grading, water storage, and these are things that we've been asked to do by the county, and so our money is being spent in different ways now.
Is that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add as well, so exactly what Hannah just said, and we're also we just received, I think, $16 million from the state to implement in grant money to implement infrastructure projects on our properties. So that's a huge influx of money that, again, this initiative would make near impossible to be able to spend that money in our local economy and to implement these infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the different reports that you have to do, like the environmental reports and whatnot. Is that something that's required of other farmers and other industries, or is it exclusive to marijuana? And how big is that burden? Like, if you do a report one year, you mentioned you have to do a water report every year.
Yeah.
Is that typical for farmers, or is it you guys are just accepted because of the nature of weed, basically?
Yeah, I say you put the big C on it. You put cannabis on anything, and it's going to cost 420% more. And but it's not funny.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Truly, I've been a grower, an agriculturalist. It's what I studied in college, and I've been growing food since I was 19. That was the first business I started, and I'm dedicated to agriculture, and I've never had to do any of the things that I have to do for cannabis compliance for cultivating otherwise. I mean, we used to cultivate in a floodplain in Washington.
Wow.
The waters would rise and come through our crops. The whole rest of the valley was hay farmers and sprayed Roundup on the regular, right? I mean, that's just glyphosate in the watershed of the Puget Sound because of lack of regulations.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, it seems to me that there was a lot of focus on everybody getting their piece when marijuana was legalized. And maybe I'm wrong, but do you feel like in the balance of, the county and the other agencies making sure they get their money, or that the industry, fledgling and freshly legalized, is preserved and, built up and protected for the future? Did they make a mistake in, trying to get a piece of the money before the money was actually stably coming in? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there is some
There's
truth.
greed at play here. I mean, basically.
There is a little truth, definitely some truth to that. A lot of folks probably perceived cannabis farmers as, just having pickle barrels full of money buried on their properties, and thinking that they could extract some of that. And I also think there was a lack of foresight in seeing where the market was going to go, especially after what Hannah had brought up earlier. The state took away the 1 acre cap. So there was that in play. However, they have helped out a bit locally, reducing Measure S and just taking it away for us here. But that was in large part because of the advocacy from our local trade association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How responsible do you think our local government is for the issues that the local market is facing? Is that all coming from the state and the federal government, who prohibits, like you said earlier, the interstate trade with weed? How much is our own local regulators responsible for any of this?
The cost of compliance has been daunting depending on the type of land. And there's so many different parcels. We have so much water in the county, and there's just a lot of land use knots to untangle as far as fitting the cannabis operation onto a piece of land. So that can be enormously costly. And if someone's already owned their land for generations, and that's the land they own, they're going to work to be able to build out their business on their land. It might cost more than just, some businesses did a RRR and closed their hill shops and moved down to the valley. And I think that's really been a part of this HCRI initiative, is people don't like to see the weed, to see the greenhouses, to see water tanks. I don't like to see all the water tanks on my farm. Yeah. I don't think it looks good. I think it's unreasonable that if I was just growing alfalfa in my field, that I could divert 1 million acre of water in July.
Yeah.
But as a cannabis cultivator, I have to store all of my water in the winter time for my entire cultivation season. So that's been, I hate that I have that much plastic on my farm, but that's how we're meeting the environmentally mindful compliance regulations set forth. And that's been set up by the county to support the community and support the environment. And those of us who are doing that work are also in support of the community and the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all the time we have. So thank you guys for coming down and giving us your perspective, and I hope you're willing to come back. It sounds like maybe next week with you. You're a regular appearance now.
Yep, well, I like hanging out with you, James.
Well,
what
that's
can I
good.
say?
That's good. We got plans too. We talked about it.
We got plans. Dank tank.
Thanks for having us, James.
Yeah, no problem. We'll be right back after this short break.
Friends and supporters of Keat TV, we are calling all who have a passion for public television on the North Coast. Keat is looking for a diverse group of people to join its Community Advisory Board, or CAB. CAB members play an advising role to management and act as Keat's ambassadors within the community. Meetings are held quarterly on Zoom. Go to keat.org, find the link for CAB, and get involved today. We look forward to meeting you.
Do you love reading? Have you ever wanted to read on Camp TV's Tell Me a Story? Well, now's your chance. What do you need to audition? Be in grades kindergarten through 5. Have a parent or guardian record a short video of you reading a picture book out loud. Submission information is at key.org. Now, if you excuse me, I need to rehearse. Once upon a time.
In a video produced by the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office and released this past week to media, we learn how local officials jumped into action in order to save imperiled livestock from the elements.
We've had some unprecedented weather over the last 2 weeks now. We've had snow in our mountains, and on Saturday I received a phone call from Supervisor Bushnell, who said that she's been receiving lots of inquiries regarding what could be done about the starving cows in the ranching community in southern Humboldt. We've received multiple reports of cattle dying off because ranchers cannot get to their cows due to impassable roadways. These are private roadways. That's through snow and down trees. And so they want to know what can be done. One of the ranchers that's been around for a while said that, in the 80s, when the snow was so prevalent and they couldn't get to the ranches, they called upon CAL FIRE and the Coast Guard to help deliver hay out in those communities. As a sheriff's office, we're the director of emergency services within the county, so we're helping coordinate this, and we're asking our regional partners to assist with this.
We were glad to help. This request went through our chain of command as well as the Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
And that's when they essentially took over air operations. And we have about 30 ranchers that have reached out to us. Diana Totten, Fire Chief from Southern Humboldt, is coordinating the contacts with all the ranching community. We talk about how many head of cattle do we need to be fed, what's the exact location where we think the cattle are, and then we provide that information to our CAL FIRE folks. Logistically, they figure out where they can safely deliver that, because the weather has been so hit and miss over the last couple of days that they're trying to fly in between the weather and trying to figure out where they can actually deliver this. The hay is coming from private sources, and it's going to be paid for by the ranches that it's going to be delivered to.
This is an atypical type of operation, but it shows the resilience and the effectiveness of cooperating with various agencies so that in total we can better serve the communities that are affected.
We won't really know until there's snow melt how many actual head has died off due to these conditions. But I know this for certain, if we don't act, there's going to be way more that die, and it'll be a catastrophe for our county.
This situation is not over, and the weather is going to evolve here in the next 7 to 8 days that everyone should be paying attention to.
We don't want people to become further victims of this snow emergency. So if you don't have to travel, please don't travel. Please don't check on things you don't have to check on. Please don't visit places that you have no idea, what the conditions are. We urge people, please stay home. Please stay warm, only travel when it's necessary, and just look after each other.
It's always nice to end our show with a moving story. Ooh. We'll meet you back here at 7 p.m. next Friday with more news and views you can use. Stay tuned, stay informed.